Trouble Puppet Theater is my company. We've been in this form for about 5 years. It consists primarily of me and my partner, who's the company manager, Janine Lisa. We're a sponsored project of Salvage Vanguard Theater. We're umbrellaed under their nonprofit status. We do, at this point, 3 shows a year. We do one sort of big one and then 2 smaller ones. The show we're working on right now, The Jungle, there are times when we have 4 or 5 puppets on stage at a time, which would be 15 people. That's a lot of performers to get, and that's a lot of performers to train.
One person controls the head and one arm, another person controls the right arm, and then another person makes the feet walk. And they all have to move together.
It's a great aspect of figuring out how to use the object with your body and not overforce. It's almost kind of, you have to be very particular and very concise in what the movement is and what you're trying to create from the story and the line. So you have to be very particular. So you're always engaged, but you're not always, it's not about you, it's about how to make the puppet animated and alive.
It's a different beast than any other theater that I've done. To make it all come together with this, you have to be so just, in the same mindset with everyone else.
Tabletop, I think is largely an American evolution of puppetry, and so it doesn't have necessarily a tradition. You see a lot of tabletop puppetry where the performers are visible. They'll maybe wear black, but their hands and faces are visible. For The Jungle, we're setting the entire show inside a slaughterhouse, so all of the performers are dressed as workers in the slaughterhouse, and the entire show takes place in this one room in the slaughterhouse. Part of their job, when they're not cutting meat or hauling buckets of blood, is to pick up these puppets that come in on the conveyor belt just like a piece of meat. And you pick up that puppet and you perform a scene from the narrative. So that the story is all done with puppets, and the characters are all puppets, but the performers are also part of the environment. They may be doing a scene with the puppets where the puppets are at home, but the performers are still in this room in the slaughterhouse. No one ever leaves the slaughterhouse. It's the environment for the entire show. These characters don't speak very much. It's kind of just the approach that we've made. It's about labor and it's about physical exertion. And what we decided to do is to try and get as much of the story across physically as possible and visually, rather than using narration or dialogue. A lot of the characters don't speak at all, and they just communicate with gesture. They work in a slaughterhouse and they have to pick things up and carry heavy things and use the sledgehammer and knives and all of that sort of thing. They will show up here and there doing different parts, playing different roles, somewhat faceless, in the way that the workers in the Chicago packing houses were considered interchangeable and just part of this mass of humanity that could be replaced as easily as you replaced a broken part in the machine. It's definitely our biggest production yet, by a long shot. Most people, the most puppets, biggest theater. I'm doing it in the main stage at Salvage Vanguard, which is a very big space. And my favorite thing about puppetry is that anybody can do it, and it doesn't take anything special. It doesn't take any special materials. It's not expensive. It's a people's art form where you can do anything you want with it. You can make your characters be anything you want them to be. You can make them out of anything.